Hello, I am Deb Coviello, the Drop-In CEO. And as always, I want to thank you for joining us on another episode where week after week, I have the most interesting people who come up on this show who share their backstory, share their insights with you. And in the process, they are going to say some wonderful things that are actually also going to inspire you. And just know I show up every single week with amazing guests because I want to take these insights to help the C suite leader navigate their challenges and opportunities with confidence. And this week, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Lance Cayko, who is a multi talented serial entrepreneur, architect, builder, lecturer, and podcaster. He has a diverse background in architecture, construction, real estate development, and is the co founder and partner of F9 Productions, a wildly successful design and build firm based in Longmont, Colorado, specializing in single family residential, multifamily residential, and small commercial projects. And there's another reason why I brought him onto the show. But before I continue, Lance, thank you so much for dropping in.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, for my audience, I have brought, as always, a C suite leader, an entrepreneur, a business owner, because the journey onto itself I know is always interesting and gives you amazing insights as you move through your journey. But interestingly enough, is that my husband has always been in the construction trades. He's a senior project manager, and my daughter is a master's student in architecture. And I often hear them talking about design build. And so I'm a little naive in this area. I want to learn so much about Lance and the work that he's doing, but I'm going to graciously pass the mic back over to him so he can introduce himself both personally and professionally in the impactful work that he's doing. On
Thank
to
you,
you,
Deb.
Lance.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, yeah. I am, as of this recording, I am the ripe old age of 42, which means I've been in the industry, the architecture, engineering, construction industry for about 29 years, putting me all the way back to when I started when I was 13. I grew up a very rural part of America, northwest North Dakota, in between a cattle ranch on one side of the family and a sugar beet farm. And on the sugar beet farm is where I attempted to have my first job with my dad. And at that point, we did not get along very well. And we were such poor farmers that the way we watered our sugar beets it was all by hand. And if anybody's been to this part of the United States, in the summer it is 90 degrees, 90 degrees with 90% humidity, and the mosquitoes will carry you away. So that kind of type of watering also requires you to basically be working around the clock. You maybe sleep every 3 hours for about a half hour. And I just hated it. I didn't really get along with my dad either. And it wasn't that I was adverse to hard work. It's like that's a 13-year-old boy who's just not interested in kind of that manual labor. So I lasted a couple days, maybe a week with him. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. And I go, your best friend is Bruce, who's a general contractor and a builder. And I would love to just go try to work with him for the summer. He goes, sure, you can give him a call. So I quit the job, called up Bruce that night, and I said, I will do anything. I will pick up garbage. I will start at the lowest, whatever. And he goes, great. I need a gopher. You'll be my gopher. I'll pay you $7.25 an hour. And I was like, great. Well, what's a gopher? And he goes, oh, when you go for this, you'll go for that. When you're done going for the things, you can get up on the roof and learn how to roof. And I was the type of kid too that grew up. My grandmother was, I just love her so much for this. She'd always make sure I had a sketchbook. She always made sure I had Legos. I was always building things. So I had a proclivity towards this. And so I started working with Bruce, and I was the best dang gopher he ever had. I was on that roof right away. I kept it so clean because I really wanted to learn a skill. And I just fell in love with the whole industry, even though it was honestly in a lot of ways just as hard of work. I mean, it was hot, humid. We'd wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. We'd be done by 3 p.m. We were doing one roof a day. And he saw something in me about halfway through the summer, about on our 40th roof, that I think he just went, I'm gonna just pick with this guy's brain, just see where he's at. He's not my typical guy I bring on to do things. There's something about him. And he pulls me aside at lunch and he says, I pay you $7.25 an hour. What do you think I charge the owners per hour for your labor? And I go, $7.25. He laughed. I was embarrassed. And he said, no, 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 that's not how it works. I charge you out two, three, four times your labor. And I go, that's, is that cheating? Isn't that immoral? Like, isn't that bad? Total naivety, right? And he says, he explained how it all worked. He explained profit, overhead, downtime, why you do that, why what his reward is in the end. Bruce was the first entrepreneur. I hadn't even heard that word in growing up, because my dad was worked on the farm. He kept the farm going. My mom was a dental assistant, worked for Indian Health Service. I had no entrepreneurs in the family besides Bruce. Now all of a sudden, and then at the end of the summer, well, before that, he one thing I started to notice too is I just throughout like being with Bruce more often, his the way he felt about money and his reaction to it was much different than my mom and dad. Bruce didn't have anxiety about money like my mom and dad did. They always had a cope that I call it a cope now, that they would say. A lot of people say this. They go, having money isn't everything. And then one day I heard later on, this is, I was like 30 or 40 when I heard this, and it was, having money isn't everything, but not having it is. And I went, oh, that really hit me in my soul. Because I remember one time my mom and dad, I ran up a telephone bill. This was maybe I was 10, 11. I didn't mean to. It was AOL. I was dial up. I had to dial Fargo, North Dakota, all the way
My
across
kids
the
have
state.
done this too.
Oh my gosh, seriously. Then So
Yeah.
they got $1,000 bill in the mail. Is that a lot of money? To some people it is. Obviously to them it was. And it was almost like I had killed somebody. I mean, I just had I was so they were so upset. They were talking about a personal loan. And Bruce never had that kind of anxiety around it. And I just held that in my chest for almost ever, even now, where I'm like, for me now as an entrepreneur, it's not about possessions. Like yes, I have real estate. I can buy what I mostly want. But it's just the freedom from anxiety. So I got to the end of the summer with with Bruce, and he goes, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I go, "I want to be you. Like, how do I be you?" And he says, I didn't say I want to take his job. I just said, like, how do I become you? Like what you do? Because I really liked the way he operated around. He just seemed a lot happier as a person. And he said, "You don't work for me next year," which I just, even now as an adult man who has many employees, I go, man, that took a lot of like emotion. I still can't put the words to it. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like emotional security, I guess, just that was a big thing for him to say and do. And he goes, you got to go work for another one of me and learn a different trade. And then the next
Mhm.
summer you learn a different trade. So that's what I did. Like, I just was so sold on Bruce. So for the next 8 years, I worked a different trade. I learned almost every trade you could learn in the construction industry. Went to building, went then I went to tech school for 2 years for building construction tech at Wapaton, where they basically teach you how to be sort of just a like a blue collar plus, so light white collar light, just a little bit more rigor upstairs, kind of a contractor. And the second epiphany happened in my life, entrepreneurial wise. Our capstone project that we were supposed to build in our last semester there of our second year was a house. We built it as a team. And for the first time, I was holding these things called blueprints, and the word architect came into my psyche.
Mm. Mhm.
And a light bulb just shot up. And I went, oh, like suddenly I like school. I'm really excelling here. I don't, I kind of want to just keep going, because, like, if I became the architect first, then I could turn them into building clients. I didn't even know about the word vertical integration either at that time, that concept.
Mm.
I had no clue that even existed. So I applied to the university, which is 70 miles north at North Dakota State, and accelerated through that program, graduated at the top with a master's degree in architecture. And then the last light bulb went off. And this word developer came up over and over again. Real estate developer, because that's who hires architects a lot. And I went, oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know what to call that. Like, what if I became that too? Then I'd have the full vertically integrated model going like that. So that's my entrepreneurial sort of nest egg story, and where it came about. And now I have all those three things: a architecture company, general contracting company, and a real estate development firm.
Oh, wow. Oh, my. Okay, so very compelling story here. Um, and all along the way, it was just aligning yourself with the right person who gave you the time of day and a hard day's work, but also met with that curiosity of like, oh, now I understand this. Where could I go with that? Very, very cool. Because there's so many young people these days that just do stuff and either one don't have the opportunity to have impactful people in their lives to get them to think versus just do, and also find direction along the way and just say, I'm just going to keep doing that. So, okay, kudos to you for just being very motivated and finding a path. Just curious here, however, real estate development, architecture, and building, is that an unusual threesome model? Is usually it's just one or two, but one, two, and
Yes.
three? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that is a great question. It is. It is. You're a rare individual. Well, and I have a business partner, so we're a rare individual, I think, in our industry to wear all three hats. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's pretty small where you do all three. Um, and then if you think about just two, the rarest is to put the developer hat on because it's so much risk, and really you're stepping so far out of your boundaries of just
Mm,
of the way your brain operates as an architect. Because and I am a capital A architect a lot, where I am like, what I mean by that is like, it's got to look beautiful. Like it's all about the feel and the look and the etherealness
hmm.
of architecture. Like the best architecture should lift your soul, really, like a Gothic church or something like that. Um, but then if you just strip down to the architect plus builder, it becomes a little less rare. It's still
Mm.
pretty rare. And usually it's just one of the hats only, for sure. And I've never actually heard of uh, a developer where then they're like developer first, then architect. It's usually architect first, and you kind of build off of that. And I guess that's why I like to start with the building because it's true,
Very
first of
good.
all. But it's like, what a weird way for me to get to architect.
But you got the whole supply chain there connected, short of actually your materials and
Hmm.
all of that. Um, Very interesting to me, because again, I've heard my husband and daughter talk about like, oh, design build. You might want to consider that. So my husband will bring out the blueprints and go over those things. He's even brought her on site as he's building
Oh,
things. They see if you can point out where there might be issues, because again, as an architect, you have to understand the construction part of it. Now, my daughter, what she really loves though is the aesthetics. She is more of that creative, that conceptual. How can I create a beautiful space for people to
mhm.
live in a urban environment? And that's the work she loves, but has to understand the building part of it too, so they go hand in hand. Uh, so very interesting. But one of the things you skipped over is that, okay, all of a sudden I am a co-founder and partner of F9 Productions.
Yeah.
Now, again, a lot of people out there hold themselves back because, oh, I've never done that C-suite position, or I can't start my own business. Did you go to 0 to 100 like right away and you were immediately successful? Tell us a little bit more about building your own business. What was that journey and what did you learn along the way?
In hindsight, I don't know if I'd ever want to go from 0 to 100. I get where you're going with that. Uh, so my business partner, his name is Al Gore, and if we ever started another company, then we'll call it Psycho and Gore just for fun. But we met in college. We sat across from each other in architecture school during our second year of a 5-year program. We actually hated each other the first year because you sometimes like you hate the unknown, and he didn't like that I was cool, calm, suave, and friendly with the girls, and they were equally an opposite to me. And he was not. He was just not that he wanted to be. But I was like, who is this real interesting character who like everybody seems to gravitate to? Like boys, see that's the thing is like he everybody did love him. It's just in a different way. And I was so struck by how everybody loved him. I was like, well, I want to like learn how to be like him. Or I
Hmm.
was just pulled to that. We sat across from each other a second year, and that's when we started to form our friendship. And we realized like, no, we're actually like a yin and a yang
Mm.
situation. And we were emotionally intelligent enough to go, this could be something special. Our third year, we ended up doing our first design competition together. Went really well. Our fourth year, we did. our capstone project together was a sustainable skyscraper competition. We won, and that was really special.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we had different fifth year. You go to grad school, and we had our separate professors, our thesis advisors, but we still insisted on sitting right next to each other. So he moved over and like became like a studio rat over there. That's how Al and I met. And then when we graduated, one of our professors, he called us the Renaissance. These are my Renaissance team. This is my Renaissance team. And he just loved us. I mean, he's like a father figure at this point. Daryl Booker's his name. Just love that man. We were standing on top after the graduate of this rooftop hotel downtown Fargo with our parents and Daryl said, "You guys should start a firm one day because you guys can't let this like duo go. You know, you really need to like it's special. You just saw how special it was." So
Mm.
I didn't think it would happen because we both went our separate ways. Al went to New York City, worked for Studio Daniel Libeskind, world famous Pritzker Prize winning architect. Very prestigious internship that he got. Then I went out to Boulder, Colorado, worked for a couple of prestigious architects down here, and who won the national AIA Young Architects. So we both were, because we graduated at the top of the class, we had great portfolios, and then the Great Recession hit, and it broke our
Mm.
hearts, and we got laid
Oh,
off.
oh no.
And I wasn't about to leave Colorado. I fell back on my handyman work and just started doing handyman work for housewives in Boulder with cat for cash because and I had two children at the time, just had a newborn. We were both completely devastated, as young men. I mean, just totally the rug was just pulled from underneath us. I mean, there was moments of tears for sure. Al thought the recession would last 1 year. We didn't know any better. He went back for construction management for a master's degree. Clearly, it lasted longer than that. Still couldn't get a job. Went back to mom and dad's. Hated every minute of that 3 months. And at the same time, I started to land like commissions down here just through Craigslist. Got a house, got a clinic even. And the clinic I had to bring back to the old firm who laid me off because I needed a
Mm.
licensed architect to work with me on
Mm.
it. And then I landed all this building information modeling work. Like we were making furniture, really fancy furniture in the computer. And I go, Al, how much savings you got? Because the apartment just opened up just right above me. And he goes, a couple months. Because he's doing handyman stuff himself. You should come down. I think we can do this. Heart of the Great Recession, 2010. Just awful in Colorado. One of the worst markets there was for real estate at that time. It just went so low. And he came down, and our garage was his. You heard this garage story of entrepreneurship. Our garage was his dining room. We worked out of that for about 3 years. Economy started to pick up. We also picked up jobs teaching as a adjunct professors at CU Boulder, which then made it so we had to hire people. And the economy started to pick up in 2013, and it's the last 12 years have been a very slow but steady pace of growth
Mm.
to where in the last 3 years we've been really honored by the Best of Mile High to be a finalist for the best in
Mm.
customer service and architecture in Colorado. And now we're a staff of 10. Our revenues are really great. They're over seven figures every year. And then we eventually through that too um, did a couple of design build projects, got enough money to buy real estate, bought a piece of raw land, became the full-fledged developers, and developed the other companies. Probably the shortest way I could put it.
Oh, this is amazing. I do got to ask you just a quick question, and then I got to ask you a follow-on question about, the design build model. What is it that, okay, you guys went to school together, yin and yang. What do you bring to the table? What does your partner Al bring to the table that makes this work?
A couple things.
Yeah.
A couple things. I'm the bad cop. He's the good cop.
Cool. Okay.
Everybody kind of knows that. But we do reverse roles every once in a while, and it's really important to have that. We're both just sounding boards for each other because one of the things I really feel in my heart for entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, is like who else can you even talk to about how to do this?
My
Which is
poor husband. My
I
poor
know,
husband.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or listen to a show like this maybe, or
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
just blessed to have a business partner that I. It's now been almost 15 years working together. We haven't divorced or
Okay. And is
anything
one
like
the
that.
CEO and one's the COO, one's visionary, one's operations? How does it all work?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it, actually.
Okay.
You pretty much nailed it in that kind of a way. Yeah. Our titles are actually president and VP, but it's still CO, CO and CEO and COO. The other, the biggest trait probably at the base of this is I'm much more of a type A engineering critical thinker, details, and Al's the visionary. Al's the big picture. Al's looser. And then the big characteristic that we share that is so important is like we're willing to take risks and
Mm.
not drive ourselves insane or our spouses insane and still get our 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night. So,
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, we've spent so much time just me getting to know you. And again, that's what's I think my audience. I hopefully you're enjoying us just getting to know each other and these backstories are absolutely amazing. But I do want to bring it home a little bit. One of the things is like when people may not necessarily understand the concept of a design build model. So like what does that mean that and how does it benefit clients versus the typical architecture contractor separation? So people understand that because I'm sure there's people out there that are also looking at building or renovating or what have you. So talk to me about that model.
yeah, we are finding that the general public seemingly wants more and more of a white glove service. They are tired of going to different entities and having to negotiate 6 contracts instead of 3. Right, because like if a potential client comes to us and maybe they're set on I want a design build firm and they find 2 other ones. Well, that's 3 contracts versus if then they go architect plus general contractors and all of that. So I think it's just and at the age of information, maybe it's a reaction of people are reacting in a way where they're like, I want the less information to have to digest and make a decision.
Mm, yeah.
So that sort of streamlines and segues into that. That's what we're offering. That's what you offer in a design build model. And ours is only a slightly different, just because we constantly have to be different. Is like some people, some firms like us, it's all a cart where it's like, hey, you signed up for both, you can't divorce the two, right? Like with us though, we say we're design plus build and the clients we want and they have to meet 3 criteria. One is they have to be within a 45-minute radius of our northern Colorado location in Longmont because emergencies happen on job sites. I mean, it just never ceases to amaze me. So we got to be able to get there pretty rapidly. And the second one is they got to be cash. Not that we're skirting the IRS, but it's like I don't want to deal with the bank. I kind of just want to submit an invoice to you, not have a third party bank reviewer come in. The red tape is it's so drastically different. It makes my life easier, it makes their life easier, it makes the building process faster and more efficient. And the third one is probably the most important is I tell every client this that potentially wants us to build. I go, we got to like each other because we're extending this relationship for another 2 years on top of the year or so or less that it's going to take to design your project. It's going to take another year to build it, and then we have to warranty the project by state law, and then just by typical, that's what builders do is they warranty it for at least a year. So those 3 things.
So given those three things, I get it. Proximity, easy to do business with, and do you like the person to maintain a long-term relationship?
Mhm.
But doesn't that quite limit then the potential clients that you can have? It's almost too niche. Have you hurt yourself in the process, or there is a niche that you can fulfill here?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So one of the things that we get a lot of other architects that listen to our podcast don't like is that because it's business advice for architects essentially, and
Okay. Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the episodes is per month or per week. Is they go, yeah, but I've been told by everybody else I need niche, and I go, well, yeah, you do if you're just going to be architect. We will architect for anybody except for a couple
45
different
minutes,
states.
cash, and like
Yeah,
them.
yep. But we'll only build for those. We're niching down with those criteria.
Okay.
And as far as revenue goes and workload goes, I actually only want for me about 4 to 6 building projects per year. Al only wants the same 2. So, because if I tried to build everything we design, I physically couldn't do it. 100, there's no way. And I don't want to actually scale past a staff of 12. I like being 12 or less because it allows us to be very nimble, especially with communication, and then keep that very high level of customer service. So you're
Right.
right, it does niche, but I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, and that's frankly actually what I want.
So, thank you for answering that, and this is very cool, very interesting. I am learning so much in the process, but one of the things that I also see is differentiates you a little bit is that you, like to incorporate sustainability into your designs, but without breaking a budget. So, why is that attractive? Why is that of benefit to people as well? Tell us more about that.
Well, everybody likes to save money. I mean, there's almost anybody, even the most wealthy among us, that like that. Like, hey, I would rather, if given the choice, could I save some money? And you can. That's ultimately what sustainability can do. Is you sort of get a win-win. Oh, I can save money and help save the environment. Win-win. Like almost everybody's gonna raise their hand for that. And why it can be so affordable is because I think a lot of people, when they think of sustainability, they think visions of solar panels and windmills and green roofs and exotic materials and systems like are cascading through their brain. And really, the one thing that always gets missed, and I don't blame people for this, is orientation.
Hmm.
Orientation of the building on the site. So
Oh,
for Yeah, so for example, in Colorado, if we are blessed with still having a lot of available land that is not built on to build, to design on and then build. So if a client comes to me and they want to, doesn't matter if it's a small commercial building or a house, if we're given that opportunity and we could take advantage of orienting the building to be able to capture that beautiful free sun and energy in the winter when the sun is low, and then also design the building to have deep overhangs on that south side so that it then blocks that harsh summer sun and keeps the building cool naturally in the summer. And then if we're able to address the east and west facades with very careful fenestration and windows, because while we don't want to block that beautiful golden sun in the morning or the sun setting at night, we have to be careful because about how we do it because the light is so direct. And then the last, facade is the north facade, and we're trying to be very careful about minimizing the number of windows that we put on that side, while at the same time embracing that light for like task lighting, natural task lighting, because that kind of bluish light that comes through is actually best for like an office setting, for example. So that's and that what did that cost? That actually cost nothing. It just made it really didn't because you're going to have the building no matter what. It's just like, can we just hire the right architect who maybe has that foresight?
oh my goodness, so fascinating. I learned something here, but again, that's that value add. We haven't even gone into what it costs to work with you, but at the same time, you're constantly thinking about your client in service to them and also do good for them, not just now, but for the long term, because hopefully they're going to enjoy that beautiful home for many, many years.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And you and I could go on and on through this conversation, but I've simply really enjoyed learning about your journey, that can do, putting yourself aligned with the right people, being curious, and then ultimately leaning into those aha moments and finding a great business partner. But what I would love for you to do is maybe share any last parting thoughts with people that you might want to connect with, to learn more about what you do, and any last thoughts for my audience, if you could.
Yeah, sure. People can connect with me in a couple different ways. I'm readily available on LinkedIn. I'm one of the few. I'm the only person with a name Lance, Lance, last name Cayko, and I will connect with anybody. Just feel free to reach out there and let's make a connection on LinkedIn. And then from there, my DMs are open. I love when people send me emails or even sometimes give me a call or they just want to pick my brain about things. I try to just give as much as I can, and because I'm honored to even be asked those questions and that my opinions are valued. You can follow us on InsideTheFirmPodcast.com. That's where actually I have my own podcast, and we do 2 shows a week. I interview folks like Deb and other folks who are in the business world. And then you can keep up with everything with what we're doing with the all of our businesses at f9productions.com. We have a newsletter. I would encourage people to sign up. They're fun. They're interesting. We are constantly showing new projects. And the last parting words I would give for the audience are,
Mm.
I get asked this question a lot because I'm a serial entrepreneur, and that is, well, I want to be like you, Lance. How do I start it? Like, when should I start a business? And they go, I'm nervous, I'm worried. I'm worried. It's like, is it the right time? Is the economy is like whatever? And I go, the best time to start a business is during a Great Depression or a Great Recession, just like I did, because you will never be pushed into a corner or put under a fire, but without knowing that you need to be within one in that environment. It will force you to be super creative, super nimble. It'll force you to outcompete your competitors. And if you can survive that, you can survive anything.
Mm, beautiful words. And also, if I may, for those of you who may want to watch this on the YouTube channel, he also has a very, very beautiful backdrop, courtesy of his son, who is an artist with all of his childhood works on the wall. So, again, I love, love, love creative people, the creative process. And it's been simply a pleasure to get to know you, your journey, and the impactful work that you're doing for your clients. I just want to say thank you so much for dropping in on the show, and I wish you well and continued success.
Thank you, Deb. It was a pleasure.